your Monday afternoon with us here on Kababayan LA, the show that gives you a mix of Filipino and Filipino-American news. When we talk about Filipino-Americans, marami sa ating mga Filipino immigrants we don't know about the history of Filipino-Americans here in Southern California, and thank God for films like Delano Manongs. And that is a documentary that's supposed to come out very soon, right? We have the filmmaker here with us. Marissa specializes in documentary filmmaking. Hello and welcome to the show. And this is your brainchild, Delano Manongs. Tell us about it.
Yeah, the story is about Larry Itliong and the Filipino farm workers of Delano, California, and how they started. They co-founded the United Farm Workers Union, which is one of the most famous, most successful farm labor unions in the history of the United States.
And it's always spoken about, written about, the history of the Farm Workers Union. But the thing is, it's always given, credit is always given to the Hispanics, Cesar Chavez and all that. Not too many people know that there was a Filipino behind that movement, and that is Larry Itliong. We're so privileged and lucky to have Larry's son here, Johnny, on the show, and he can give us first-hand experience from those strikes. Because Johnny, how old were you when you were
5 years old?
5 years old, and you were carrying signs. What do you remember from those era?
From that time, I remember being up very early, putting together signs with hammer, nail, and staples, and drawing out, the boycott signs, boycott grapes. I remember standing in front of Safeway, marching and hearing people, honking and supporting us, and also hearing people yelling at us,
right,
to go away.
Well, you know what? There's so many sacrifices, so many Kababayans made sacrifices for this, but why do you think in the history books it's not being told? The story of the Filipino farmers are not being told as much or as profoundly as the stories of the Hispanic farmers behind this movement?
Well, the Filipino farm workers of that age, they weren't able to marry. So not many of them, Larry is an exception, but not many of them were allowed to have kids and have families. And so it's basically a generation that died out. And so you don't have the next generations talking about them. What we have is the post-1965 Filipinos who come in, and they've forgotten about the Filipino farm workers, the pioneers who worked so hard to send money back to the Philippines, who basically educated the immigrants who came in post-65.
And so I'm thinking, Johnny, you must have sacrificed a lot to your family instead of, you at 5 years old playing with your dad like most 5-year-olds do. You were out striking with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many times before school and after school, I remember going to the 40 acres and being in his office and having to, the only time with him is sitting on his lap while he was working.
Right. And see, that is why I think these stories have to be told. Thank you, Marissa, for coming out with something like this. But you need our help, right?
I
yes.
do,
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. We're in the middle of editing, so we finished all the filming. We're so close to being done, and we just need a little more money to finish. And what I'm doing is having the community help. And so they can send money online, donate, and they become part of the film. They're in the film credits. So if they go to the website, which is DelanoManongs.com/funding, they can become a part of the film and help us.
And what is the timeline for this? When do you envision to finish the whole thing?
We're hoping to finish by the end of this year, and then get to film festivals, and then get a PBS broadcast.
For next year.
For next year.
Is there a way that this can make it to the Philippines as well? Probably we need to screen that there as well, right?
Absolutely.
And what about commercial screenings here all over Southern California?
Yes, if you invite us in,
all
we'll
right,
be here.
Of course. And now, of course, we were flashing the website on the screen earlier, DelanoManongs.com. They need our help and support. Thank you for sharing your stories with us.
Thank you.
I know there's more to be had in the film, so we'll save that for later in the film. All right? More power to both of you.
Thank you.
Magbabalik po ang Kababayan LA. Teen violence naman po, and more particularly violence in dating. We'll talk about that when we return. Don't go away.
Kababayan LA ay hatid sa inyo ng McDonald's at ng bagong McCafe Espresso Drinks. McDonald's na ba ang inyong bagong coffee?